Cell cameras have become one of the most powerful tools for deer hunters, but you may be selling yourself short if you're only thinking about cell cameras in the short term. In the standard SD card world, there's two kinds of trail camera strategies, short term and long term. And in my opinion, the most useful data for deer hunting comes from your long-term trail camera strategies. And why is that? You're getting data that is non-altered. And with cell cameras, they become so popular because you set them up one time, the pictures are sent straight to your phone, and it's great because you're not being intrusive. However, people have become obsessed with the short-term value of cell cameras, and they're not thinking about how they can help them in the long term. So let me break this down really quick. Cell cameras are sending you pictures straight to your phone if you have your cameras in real time as soon as they're taken within 20 seconds. But it's gonna be easy to forget what happened in the big picture. So you have that micro level data. But on the macro level, all the information is stored in that camera on the SD card, just like a standard SD card camera. So at the end of the year, like I'm doing here, pull the SD cards or pull the cameras and organize the data just like you would a long-term standard SD card set. This camera in particular, I know I got pictures of a deer on November 3rd and it actually led to me getting a shot at that deer. I just screwed it up because I got a little antsy and I was on the ground. I had the deer at 4 yards. Anyway, I still have those photos on the SD card, but I don't have them in the app anymore because if you are an Exodus user, the ScoutTech app is purging the cell camera pictures every 60 or 90 days. So after 60 or 90 days, those photos are no longer on your app, but they are still on the SD card. So you still get the advantage of long-term trail camera data because you set that cell camera up one time, the photos came in real time or every 24 hours at least, and you were non-intrusive. So that data is non-altered. So you're getting the most accurate data points that you can use as a hunter for next year. Even us here at Exodus, we're guilty of lumping cell cameras into short-term trail camera strategies, but it's time to change the narrative. Cell cameras can easily become the best of both worlds in the short term and the long term. Hypothetically, let's fast forward to 2022-2023 season. You had your cell cameras or your long-term cameras out in an area and you had a buck show up on November 9th. Next year, on November 9th, you could be sitting there waiting for that deer to show up because you know the tendencies. Because you treated your cell cameras as a long-term tool, you now have that data stored on your computer so you can capitalize it on next year. Another quick point I think it's important to utilize with your cell cameras in a long-term state. If you don't want to be paying for that data, these cameras will still work as a regular SD card camera. So I've had this particular camera, the cellular network, turned off since December. So the rut was over. This was in a bedding area. I knew that that data wasn't going to really help me out that much. I was tagged out. So what's the point of paying for the data? But the camera still stored all of those photos on the SD card. So now I can capitalize on the long term or the macro picture from this trail camera set. So if you aren't utilizing long-term trail camera sets, it might be because you can't get yourself to not go check that camera. Therefore, that trail camera set is no longer non-intrusive. The data is altered from you being there. What is the hardest part about utilizing long-term trail camera sets? It's not going and checking that camera. But with cell cameras, you're still checking that camera. You're still receiving that data. And it allows you, if you use them in this strategy, to therefore get the long-term data and the short-term data that's not altered that you can capitalize to physically hunt that deer the following year. So let's go back to the office, check these cameras, and see what dates I need to be keying in on this particular farm for next year. All right, so real quick, I just wanted to give you guys an example of how I'm organizing these photos from my cell cameras. I got these pictures already sent to my phone, but if you haven't saved them, I still suggest doing what I'm doing right now, pulling the SD cards out of your cell cameras and organizing the photos. So if we take a look here, I have this broken down by location and then by physical camera set. So here we go, Trumbull County Farm. And then I pulled 3 cameras this weekend. So I had the front bedding, I had the clover, and I had the milk shed, as I call it. So one thing when you're organizing your cameras, whatever you're titling the folder, if you're running a ton of cameras, The camera sets, if they're in the woods, can all start to look familiar. So make sure you're titling the folder that you're storing the cameras in the same as you're titling your actual photos on the timestamp. Down at the bottom right-hand corner, you can change what the timestamp says. So just for example, I have here a photo of a buck that I actually got an arrow in on November 3rd. And as you can see, the milk shed is on the timestamp, and then it's also in the folder. That's what the folder is called. So no matter how you do it, whatever works for you is fine. Just make sure you're saving that data because it's going to help you for next season. I promise you that.